So guys, I've had a big influx of requests for Instagram strategies, specifically how the algorithm works, what we can be doing. So I'm going to start producing a lot more videos on Instagram and strategies for Instagram specifically. There has been, in the last couple of weeks, we're mid-May at the moment, at the time of shooting this video, there has been a few big algorithm updates, and I've had a lot of my mentees coming to me saying, Elliot, my reach has dropped, my story views are down, some people saying they're up, and that's because Instagram and Mark Zuckerberg and the guys at the big powers at play have made some big algorithm changes, and I think they're for the best. I'm just going to go through them today and talk a little bit about what we can do to leverage that to get more engagement on our profile and ultimately more sales. So basically the main update that's happened is the shift of a more volume-based approach. Instagram was rewarding people for getting more volume up. Now, in terms of posts, so people were posting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day on their main feed and ridiculous amounts of stories. Although that still will work, what they're looking at is more specifically people's happiness. So they've come out and said, we are looking at making people happier. The happier people are, we're finding the more happy people are happy consuming content, the more they'll stay on the platform, not necessarily the amount of content that's on there. So how do they measure this? So what they've done is they've taken an approach a little bit like Google, actually, because this is the way the Google algorithm works. Not exclusively, but one big component of it is time viewed on each piece of content relative to content that's the same. So basically, if you've done a video and people watch a large percentage of it as a proportion to other people's videos, Instagram is going, this contributor, this creator is making people happier. So therefore, we're going to show their stuff to more people, i.e. your organic reach increases. Now, if you've got a disproportionately low consumption time, i.e. view rates, the amount of people time look at your post, your static picture post, if they read down, etc., etc. They measure everything. They're looking at every small detail in terms of your like time on content, how much they're scrolling down, how much they're reading, if they're interacting, if they're sharing it, all those metrics that are being added into someone's happiness. So if someone's happier viewing your content relative to someone else's, and what they do is they actually break this up and they put it into different niches. So not all content is equal. So they'll be looking at people from different industries and different niches, and then they'll compare your content against theirs. But ultimately, people in your space you're competing against. So you want to be having a look at what they're doing, how their kind of interactions they're getting. And ultimately, there's a few tips and tricks that we can kind of use to leverage that. So firstly, like I said, come down on maybe less of a volume approach and go for a little bit more quality content. We can use things like hooks. So if you actually want to get people onto your content, which is number one, we've got images and the first headline of like a title. Make sure those are really eye-grabbing, really attention-grabbing. And then what we do is we want to actually have possibly slightly longer captions that actually really engage people, that they'll read through. So make your content a little bit more compelling, a little bit more intriguing, and don't just go possibly not so much for the short, snappy one-liners on your comments, because that won't get much eyes on or consumption rate. We've also got call to actions, for example, share the post, things like that. Encouraging our users to actually share that content a little bit more will really help with your happiness ranking. Secondly, if you're doing things like reels, possibly go for a reel that's slightly shorter so that your percentage watch time goes up, and also try and make it a little bit catchy. If someone watches your reel 2 or 3 times in a row, that's going to really start indicating to Instagram that someone's happy watching your stuff, and you're more likely to get bumped up on the organics. Maybe implement carousels. Carousels require people to flick through. So those are a little bit longer consumption. Obviously make sure they're good, they're informative, they might be funny, whatever kind of angle you're going for, make sure they're good, and you'll find that carousels will increase your kind of consumption time from people. So things like IGTVs, IGTV actually has some decent metrics we can look at. So what you can do is actually, rather than view the insights on the Instagram app itself, go to the IGTV app and view insights on your videos, and actually gives you some graphs, some frequencies of like how much your video has been watched. all the shares, etc., etc. So IGTVs can actually be analysed on a bit more of an in-depth basis, and you should be doing this with all of your content. So analysing the kind of shares. We can't view shares anymore, saves, and likes and things like that. Likes are a little bit of a vanity metric. They're not really indicating to people how much people are viewing stuff, just smashing a like button. Also, the quality of the engagement on your post is really important, because that means if someone's typing a longer message, they've spent more time on your post. So always think about how can I get more consumption time on my content rather than just going for short, snappy stuff, which won't work as well. However, if you're doing short, snappy stuff, it will compare against other short, snappy stuff. So if your engagement is higher and you're getting more eyes on, that will make a big difference. Lastly, Instagram have come out and actually stated that time of day does matter. There was actually an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, and he said it absolutely does matter, which we all kind of know intuitively that the time of the day you post does matter, because that will get more engagement, etc. So how do we know when the best time of day is to post for our niche? It's very difficult. If you go into the Instagram metrics and insights, it'll kind of give you a graph, but it's very flat. It doesn't really give us much indication of when the best time to post is. So there's a couple of things I'd recommend. Firstly, do some polls. Simply ask your target market, your audience, what time of day they're typically on Instagram the most. You can literally do a poll, a question, and basically put on there some different options and see which ones hit. Secondly, trial and error. Super simple stuff, but post at different times of the day, similar types of content. Obviously, we can't factor in the quality of the content. Obviously, if something's really big hitting and you post it at a bad time of day, it's going to give you a skewed image. But relatively speaking, if you're posting content at different times and you make a note of this, get a spreadsheet or make a note on a piece of paper, put something up and look how many views it gets in a certain period of time. Maybe do an hour metric, for example. So for the first hour, post one at 7 o'clock in the morning, one at 8 o'clock, one at 9 o'clock. Do that over a span of like a couple of weeks. You'll get a very good idea of which one within an hour got the most amount of insights. Very simple trick. All of a sudden, you're getting more eyes on, more consumption time on your content, your happiness rating goes up, and your organic reach will go up. So guys, shift away a bit more from the volume approach and start looking at, like I said, more of the happiness factor. Really think about, am I producing good value, and what tips and tricks can I do to get people to stay on my content for a little bit longer? Longer captions, carousels, analysing your IGTV metrics. Oh, by the way, IGTVs, we've found with all of our research, best time to do those is between 2 and 5 minutes. I'll do segmented videos on each individual topic, like for example, how to find the best time to post, how long should your IGTVs be, what's the best content, etc., etc. I'll do more in-depth ones of those, but I'm trying to give you a general overview of the kind of algorithm update that's happened recently. And as I said, I would focus on those things, specifically focused on getting more people to read and view longer proportions of your videos. For example, if at the beginning of an IGTV you say something along the lines of wait until the end to get insert value, then you'll see that happen quite a lot on YouTube, because the YouTube algorithm works the same. Try and encourage people to watch the whole thing, and that will really start over time building up your organic exposure. So guys, I hope this helped. If you have any other questions on Instagram, business, etc., etc., as always, leave a comment. Please hit the like button, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.